Hey YouTube, forgive me a little bit if I sound a little bit stuffy, but the allergies this time around, they're kicking my butt like crazy. Like literally, they're really, yeah. But hopefully this Claritin work that my sister had gave me. We just got back in from taking the kids to the park and whatnot. But, I just want to talk about something that, just really came to me. So, being a believer, being a Christian, living a different lifestyle before the Lord, it really opened up my eyes and my understanding to how I used to be, like, from what now the Lord has brought me from. So where the Lord has brought me from, yeah, into how I am now. Yeah. So I'm just so grateful. Sometimes us as women, we can say we act off emotion, right? And sometimes, women would get lonely or, feel lonely. And then that could lead them into the arms of a man, into the wrong man. What was that called? Okay, sorry, thought somebody was called me. Into the arms of the wrong man. And sometimes we can just be so vulnerable and just, fall into the arms of a man in general, right? So, just to touch on that, I just believe a lot of women do not understand their worth and their value. And let me just say, I used to be a woman like that who didn't understand her worth and her value. Although, you can hear people say, I know my worth, or, someone can tell you like, you deserve better than that. But all in all, you really don't know your worth. You don't understand the value that you have. So, these allergies. So, all in all, right, I was reading my Kingdom Woman book, and I just want to share something that really stuck out to me. Okay. It says in the Kingdom Woman book by Tony Evans, your worth is far above any treasure. One of the most important truths you need to believe concerns your worth. You are significant, underline that. You are valuable, underline that. You are worth more than jewels. Underline that because I kind of want to talk about that. Wait, actually, let's pause right there. Look, it says you are worth more than jewels, right? But we have women out here selling themselves short by having relations with men for money. They don't understand that they're worth more than jewels in their father's eyes, right? If you want to do that. Or, well, yeah, they out here having sex for money with men, selling themselves short. Baby, I just want to remind you again, you're worth more than jewels. As a kingdom woman who fears the Lord, guard your value by first making sure you view yourself according to the value God has given you. You are to do all you can to ensure that you treat others with dignity. You are to be treated as a treasure, not as someone trash or used. And let me just touch on that for a minute. I just feel like we nowadays don't value ourselves. It's nothing wrong. Let me point this. It's nothing wrong with a woman loving her body, right? It's nothing wrong with a woman loving her body. But as women of God, we are to dress modestly. Our body isn't meant for us to be on display. Our bodies isn't meant for us to be on display, because baby, realize you're worth more than jewels, right? Because that's how the Father sees you. And I just feel like we do not and cannot view ourselves as the Father sees us, unless, oh God, what else gonna say? We cannot see ourselves or view ourselves the way Father sees us, unless we, allow Him to come and saturate our hearts, our minds, and whatnot. I used to be at a place where I was a vulnerable woman, and it led me to make the wrong decisions. Because why? I was thinking off emotion, off feeling, you know what I'm saying? And we don't operate like that. So I'm just really was just thinking about all of this. I was just really thinking about all of this, like, wow, God, you brought me a long way, and we are to represent God. And as we grow in God, we want to represent Him in the right way. And that's what separates us from the women of the world. It's our fear for the Lord, our reverence for Him. So, and sometimes we can get in a place of being lonely, and we let our guard down. We let our worth go, to a man who don't value us, to a man who just wants what he wants. He wants your body and whatnot, and he don't really want to know about you. And nowadays, women, they just don't care to as well. Some women is just like, I don't care. I just want to do what I want to do. You know what I mean? They have that mentality. So it's like, what happened along the line? How do we let ourselves get to that place? You know what I'm saying? And I'm just really grateful, because honestly, I feel more peace and more joy than being single. I used to be the person who was always in a relationship. If I wasn't, I was messing with someone, but more than likely I was always in a relationship with someone. And what they call that? The rebound or something, going back or something like that. Y'all know what I mean. So it was always like that for me. I never really value my worth. I never really value what the Lord said, and hi nephew. That's my nephew. So I never really value what the Lord said about me and who I was to Him. And sometimes we put ourselves in a situation or whatever, and it's like, like, wow, how did I get here? And us being believers, we're supposed to date the way that He desires for us to date. Don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers, and sometimes there's situations where it's like people would say to me, because, I just don't have time to be distracted by someone, and I'm really focused on my relationship with the Lord. If you're not pursuing the Lord, there's no need for you to pursue me. So that's where I'm at this time, but people would go off my past, and they'll live there. So they think it's impossible for me to walk a walk of sexual purity because I have 2 children. I understand, but that also just lets you know I had a past. I wasn't always living this life. I was living a life having relations outside of marriage and whatnot. But when I fully surrendered, that's the key to it. You have to surrender. You have to want to be different. You have to want to be changed. So when you're fully surrendered to the Lord, He will get you through those times of whenever you're feeling lonely. I don't really be feeling like that though. I don't really have the lonely feeling. So, but I would just for women who do, I would say, you may feel alone, but you're never lonely. Don't allow the devil to trick you to make you go back to that lifestyle where you were dishonoring God with your body. Our bodies aren't every sin is outside the body except the sin of fornication. That's why people have diseases, have things they can't get rid of. And soul ties is real. Every time you have sex with that person, you're not just doing it with them, you're doing it with everybody else they slept with, unless they get delivered from that soul tie that they have. And God is able, and I just thank God for his mercy and grace toward me, because God saved me from that life, and just being with him, that's joy, peace alone, and I know at the appointed time he'll send me someone. But I say that to say, we ought to realize the value, how precious we are in the sight of God. That's the game changer. When we realize that in our value, excuse me, living that lifestyle is just definitely not worth the compromise, because I've been there. I've been in a place of compromise. And okay, I don't feel led to share that at this moment, but whenever I feel the Lord leading me to share, I can share. But I will say this: there are guys who will, even if you tell them your stance, but like I said, be not unequally yoked. But if you may be a little bit disobedient, if they try to say and get you to compromise, I'm going to just say, do not compromise. Because it's not worth it. They're not worth it. They're not worth your relationship with the Lord. No man is worth it, to be honest. Our relationship with the Lord, but thank God enough to have mercy on us, to bring us out and to bring us into the knowledge of him and what he says about us. That's how we operate. We operate in who Christ says about us, and not what the world or culture says about us. And another thing that I wanted to bring out was, okay. Was how powerful, my phone finna die, so let me hurry up. Was how powerful we are as women of God. Okay, I wanted to read this part in the book as well. When a kingdom woman, excuse me, my allergies, so I'm a little bit stuffy. When a kingdom woman retires for the evening, a frustrated and worn out devil ought to be saying, that the devil ought to be saying, right? I messed with the wrong woman today. There is nothing like a kingdom woman who succeeds in conquering the enemy's attempts to mess with her life and the lives of the people she loves. There is nothing like a kingdom woman who succeeds in finding and fulfilling the purpose for which God has fashioned her. There is nothing like a kingdom woman fully formed. And being just a woman, we want to be whole women. A lot of times when we jump from relationship to relationship, and a lot of times when we don't know who we are, we can misrepresent ourselves. Like, we can, when we don't know who we are, we take brokenness into something else that's broken. Because most likely, 9 times out of 10, it be men who isn't whole themselves. Okay, who get into all these relationships, so a lot of time it be people damaging other people, so it's not until we come to the knowledge of really who we are. And I thank God for showing me who I am through him now, that I don't live a life like that. But it's not until the Lord allow us to see who he calls us to be, until we really understand. Because there are things like, we want to be whole people. Let me just say it like that. We want to be a whole woman. We want to get into a place where we don't have to compromise our sexual purity. We want to be into a place where we don't have to compromise ourselves anymore just to please somebody else who could care less about really who we are. Because a lot of times people get into these relationships, and then it's not until after a while you like, what did I get into? What did I get into? It's lust. A lot of times lust have us thinking that we love someone, because when you open that door and have sex with another person, that can really, that opens up, how can I say that? You have a soul tie. You have a soul tie. That's how it just came to me. Basically, when you have sex with that person, you get a soul tie with that person. And all soul ties are not godly. It doesn't have to just be sex. It can be just from regular friendships. So we have to really use wisdom and acknowledge the Lord in all our ways, because most of the times he just try to save us from heartache. Most of the time he try to save us because he know what's ahead before we even see. So it's just really important to understand our value. Nowadays, the world's so lustful. They just selfish and just want what they want out of you. But they don't want what's in here, right? They don't want really the jewel that's in here. A lot of people are just sit in relationships because they're so comfortable, or friendships, whatever kind of relationship, because they're comfortable, not because they really in love with you, because what draws you to that person in the first place. So I just want you guys to be blessed and live in the love of the Lord, and just realize your worth as a kingdom woman, who you are. If you don't know who you are, go to the Lord, because he'll show you. But you got to go with a surrendered heart, with a willing heart, to want to be all that he called you to be. Whatever you got to let go. A lot of times it's not worth it. He always got better. And remember that you're never alone. You may feel lonely at times, but you're never alone. And he can keep that which is committed unto him. And I just thank God for keeping me this season and this time. And I'm just looking forward to all that the Lord has for me. So, woman of God, be blessed. Man of God, be blessed. And realize your worth. Do you know your worth without compromising? So to really know your worth, no compromising. You're worth much more than that.